I had trouble in getting to solla, sollew by Dr. Suess. I was real happy and carefree and young, and I lived in a place called the Valley of Vung, and nothing, not anything, ever went wrong until, well, one day I was walking along, and I guess I got careless. I guess I got gawking at the daisies and not looking where I was walking. And that's how it started. Sock, what a shock! I stubbed my big toe on a very hard rock, and I flew through the air, and I went for a sail, and I sprained my main bone on the tip of my tail. Now, I never had troubles before, so I said to myself, I don't want any more. If I watch out for rocks with my eyes straight ahead, I'll keep out of trouble forever, I said. But watching ahead, well, it just didn't work. I was watching those rocks, and I felt a hard jerk. A very fresh green-headed quail-again quail sneaked up from in back and went after my tail. And I learned there are troubles of more than one kind. Some come from ahead, and some come from behind. So I said to myself, now, I'll just have to start to be twice as careful and twice as smart, and I'll watch out for trouble in front and back sections by aiming my eyeballs in different directions. I found this to be quite difficult stunt, but now I was safe, both back and in front. Then new troubles came, from above and below. A scritz at my neck and a skrink in my toe. And now I was really in trouble, you know. The rocks and the quail and the scritz and the skrink. I had so many troubles I just couldn't think. There I was, all completely surrounded by trouble, when a chap rumbled up in a one-wheeler wobble. "Young fellow," he said, "what has happened to you? What has happened to me and other folks too. So I'll tell you what I've decided to do. I'm off to the city of sollew, on the banks of the beautiful river Wahoo, where they never have troubles, at least very few. It's not very far, and my camel is strong. He'll get us there fast, so hop on, come along." I jumped up behind him. Then all through the day, the wubble wubbed on the wubblesome way, and the road got more bumpy and rocky and tricky. By midnight, I tell you, my stomach felt icky. And so I said, "Mister, please, when do we get to that wonderful town? Aren't we supposed to be there yet?" "Young fellow," he told me, "don't start in a stew. At sunrise, we'll drive to sollew, and you'll have no more troubles, I promise I do." But when dawn came along and the darkness got light, the wonderful city was nowhere in sight. Instead of the city, we ran into trouble. Our camel got sick and started to bubble. We had to pull him on the one-wheeler wobble. So there we were in a dreadful position. Our camel sure needed a camel physician. Now doctors for camels are not often seen, especially on mountains. They're far, far between. But we pulled that old wobble and set out to find some doctor while dragging our camel behind. I pulled, and pulled. Then the next thing I knew, I was pulling the camel and the wabble chap too. Now really, I thought, this is rather unfair. But he said, "Don't you stew. I'm doing my share. This is called teamwork. I furnish the brains. You furnish the muscles, the aches and the pains. I'll pick the best roads and I'll tell you where to go, and we'll find a good doctor more quickly, you know." Then he sat and he worked with his brain and his tongue, and he bossed me around just because I was young. He told me to go left. Then he told me to go right. Then he told me all day and all night. Next morning, we located Dr. Sam Snell, who knew all the tonsils and camels as well. Our camel, he said, had a bad case of gleeks and should lie flat in bed for at least 20 weeks. I was tired. How I wanted to crawl in that bed, but that wobble chap sent me away, and he said, Your troubles are practically at an end. Just run down the hill and around the next bend, and you'll come to a Happy Way bus route, my friend. The Happy Way bus leaves at 4:42, and it will take you directly to Sollew, on the banks of the beautiful river of Wahoo, where they never have troubles, at least very few. Well, the bus stop was there. That part was just fine. But tacked on a stick was a very small sign saying, "Notice to passengers using our line. We are sorry to say that the driver, Butch Mayers, has ran over 4 snails and punctured all tires. So, until further notice, the 4:42 cannot possibly take you to Sollew. But I wish you a most pleasant journey by feet." Signed, Bus Line President Horace P. Sweet. So I went by feet thanks to Horace P. Sweet, and that Horace P. Sweet almost ruined my feet. 100 miles later, my feet were so sore, then wouldn't you know it, it started to pour. I was drenched. I was drenched to the skin when a chap in a slicker splashed up and yelled, "It's the midwinter jicker. The midwinter jicker came early this year, and I'm not going to be very comfortable around here. Any fool could get out, so I've packed up my things, and I'm off to my granddaddy's in Palm Springs. Take cover," he yelled. "Use my house if you wish." Then the chap in the slicker splashed off like a fish. I ran in the house, and I fell to a heap. I needed my rest, but I just couldn't sleep. Did you ever sleep when your feet were like ice, with a family of owls and a family of mice? I listened all night to the growls and the yowls and the chattering of teeth and the mice and the owls, while the midwinter jicker howled horrible howls. I tossed and I flipped and I flipped and I flepped. It was 5:15 when I finally slept. Then I dreamt I was sleeping on billowy bellows of soft silk and satin marshmallow stuffed pillows. I dreamt I was sleeping in Sollew, on the banks of the beautiful river Wahoo, where they never had troubles, at least very few. Then I woke up, and it just wasn't true. I was crashing downhill at a flubbless flood. With suds in my eyes and my mouth full of mud, and my nose full of water and my ears full of shrieks of the owls flying off with the mice in their beaks. And I said to myself, "Now I really don't see why troubles like this have to happen to me." I floated 12 days without toothpaste or soap. I practically almost had given up hope when someone up high shouted, "Here, catch the rope." Then I knew my troubles had come to an end, and I climbed up the rope calling, "Thank you, my friend." I got to the top, but it wasn't a friend, and I saw that my troubles were not at an end. A big man on a horse scared me out of my wits. He bellowed, "I'm General Genghis Khan Schmitz. There's a war going on, and it's time that you knew. Every lad in this land has to do his due. We're marching to battle. We need you, my boy. We're about to attack. We're about to destroy the perilous Poozer and Pumplemus Moose Pass. So get in line, you private first class." He gave me a shooter and 1 little bean, which was not very much, if you see what I mean. And he yelled, "Get that Poozer! Attack without fear! The glorious moment of victory is near!" And the glorious general led the advance with glorious swish of his sword in his lance and the glorious clank of his tin-plated pants. Then we went round a corner and found that, alas, there was more than one Poozer in Pomplepuss Pass. And Genghis Khan Schmitz shouted out to his men, "This happens in war every now and again. Sometimes you're winners and sometimes you're losers, and we never win against so many posers. And so I suggest that it's time you retreat." And the army raced off on its tin-plated feet. There I was, with more poozers than I had ever seen. There I was with my shooter and only one bean. There I was, and I thought, will I ever get through to the wonderful city of sollew, on the banks of the beautiful river Wahoo, where they never have troubles, at least very few? I had trouble in staying alive. Then I saw an old pipe that said, Vent number 5. I didn't have time to find out what that meant, but that vent and had a hole, and that hole's where I went. Well, that vent where I went was sort of a funnel that led me down into a frightful black tunnel. The traffic down there was a mess, I must say, with billions of birds going all the wrong way. They bumped me with bikes, and they banged me with dishes. I ran into ladders, beds, bottles, and fishes. I skidded on garbage. I fell in a horn. Troubles, I wish I had never been born. I was there 3 days in a bird-filled up place. At least 8,000 times I fell smack in my face. I injured 3 fingers, both thumbs and both lips, my shin bone, my backbone, my wishbone, and my hips. What's more, I was starved, I had nothing to eat, and damp was it damp. I grew moss on my feet. Then, just when I thought I could stand it no more, by chance I discovered a tiny trapdoor. I popped my head out, and the great sky was blue. The sky was sky blue. And I knew from the flowers I had finally come through to the banks of the beautiful river Wahoo. I couldn't be far from sollew. There it was, with its glittering towers in the air. I'd made it. I'd done it. At least I was there. I knew that I had left all my troubles behind when a chap at a doorway that shimmered and shined waved me a wave that was friendly and kind. "Welcome," he said, as he gave me his hand. "Welcome, my son, to this beautiful land. Welcome to sweet, sunny sollew, where we never have troubles, at least very few. As a matter of fact, we have only just one. Imagine just one little trouble, my son. And this one little trouble, as you will now see, is the one little trouble I have with this key." "There is only one door into sollew, and we have a key-slapping slippard, we do. And this troublesome slippard moved into my door 2 weeks ago Tuesday, and 3:15. Since then I can't open this door any more. I can't kill the slippard. It's very bad luck to kill any slippard. That's why we are stuck. Why, no one gets in the town. The town's gone to pot. It's terrible state affairs. It's not." "And so," said the doorman of sollew, "my job at the door here is finished. I'm through, and I'll tell you what I have decided to do. I'm leaving. I'm leaving sollew. On the banks of the beautiful river Wahoo, where we never have troubles, at least very few, and I'm off to the city of Boo-Bowl. On the banks of the beautiful river Wall, where they never have troubles, no troubles at all. Come along with me," he said as he ran, "and you'll never have any more troubles, young man." I'd have no more troubles? That's what that man said. So I started to go, but I didn't. Instead, I did something quick thinking inside of my head. Then I started back home to the Valley of Vung. I know I'll have troubles. I'll maybe get stung. I'll always have troubles. I'll maybe get bit by the green-headed quail on the place where I sit. But I've bought a big bat, and I'm ready, you see. Now my troubles are going to have troubles with me.